People have always known that fire was special. UU minister and chaplain Elizabeth Harding writes, "Long, long ago, before people made matches or candles or even made houses, people knew that fire was special. There was the great fire in the sky, the sun, which made the earth warm and made night into day. And there were the smaller fires that people made, fires that cooked their food and kept them warm and brought them light. People honored the fires because fire was special. Fire was more than human. Fire has power. It can create and it can destroy. It can bring light and it can burn. Fire can be wonderful and fire can be terrible. We have to be careful with fire." And so people thought that fire was something sacred and holy. Some people even worshiped fire and said that fire was a deity, like a goddess or a god. Other people said fire wasn't actually the deity, but just meant that the deity was there. No matter what they believed, people all over the world gave fire a special place in their religions. They had fire in their homes, of course, to cook food and keep warm. And they also had sacred fires in their temples. They set sacred lamps on their altars. They lit sacred bonfires outside on the hilltops and in the groves. They placed sacred torches near the graves of those who died. We still do this today. In Washington, D.C., near the tomb of the unknown soldier, burns an eternal flame that never goes out. In churches at Christmas time, many Christians light 4 candles on an Advent wreath. During the 8 days of Hanukkah, Jews light the 8 candles of the menorah. At Diwali, Hindus set small lamps all around the house, and when Unitarian Universalists gather, we light a chalice. This is our sacred fire, Harding writes. Later, during this service, we will each be invited to light a candle, marking the new year with our own fire ritual. There are many ways that we can use and summon the power of fire, even simple ones, like placing candles by the bathtub or on birthday cakes, or lighting them to honor the lives of our dearly departed loved ones. Now, you all know by now that Rev. Lauren loves a UU communion ritual. Over the last year and a half, we've shared in water communion, a bread and cider communion, and even a berry communion. Often, Unitarian Universalists use fire as a form of communion at the new year to burn away that which we'd like to leave behind. This is often called a burning bowl. And truly, fire does have a powerful energy in rituals like this. Fire has the capacity to destroy, leaving only ashes in its wake. And yet, fire also creates space for newness. Many ancient cultures believed that fire's upward dancing flames and the smoke that it emits work together to carry our wishes up towards spirit. In fact, this is where our secular ritual of blowing out birthday candles comes from, dating all the way back to Greek and Roman times. And so this year, we're invited to think about fire a little differently. Instead of focusing on what we'd like to destroy or get rid of, our focus this morning is on summoning that which we'd like more of, that which we are grateful for, that which we'd like to amplify or invite into our lives. Before we get into the heart of this ritual later in the service, while we as UUs respect many different cultural and spiritual practices, we are known for being pragmatic. We are more known for asking questions than for suspending our disbelief. And we don't really know in a quantifiable way how fire works in a spiritual sense. We don't know how prayer works either, to be honest. But it's powerful wisdom that it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how prayer works or how intention setting works either. These things wouldn't exist if they were empty or useless, and neither would the practice of making sacred fire or sending prayers on the whisper of smoke and flame to the great beyond. So if this kind of ritual is new to you, or if you question the direct assertion of its meaning, that's okay. You don't have to participate. In fact, don't if it's against the grain of your inner knowing. This ritual is about opening the doorways of our hearts and connecting with our soul's desire. And if your soul doesn't desire to participate, that's totally okay. However, you can also go ahead and join in while holding on to your questions or suspending your disbelief for just a moment, because being open to newness and inviting transformation is the first step in making it so. Today is January 4th, just a few days after January 1st, the first day of the year. On New Year's Eve last week, many gathered to celebrate the end of 2025 and invite 2026. New Year's Day is just another day, like any other, but we can use it as a time marker or as a reset button, if you will. But often, our New Year's resolutions are known to burn out quickly as the year advances. Many set New Year's resolutions and vow to keep them all year long, often falling short or crumbling shortly thereafter. Honestly, if we even get into February or March with a New Year's resolution, we're doing great, right? Perhaps we all need 12-step programs or sponsors to call for our New Year's resolutions. That would probably help. It's hard to stay committed to new goals long-term without significant structure or other meaningful life changes. But there often tends to be another problem with typical New Year's resolutions, and that's related to the type of commitments that people tend to make. Typical New Year's resolutions tend to be externally driven, not internally motivated. Now, how many of you have decided to cut your calories or make it to the gym more often as your New Year's resolutions? You don't have to raise your hands. We know it's many of us here. Or what about those other restrictive or broad sweeping resolutions? I'll stop eating sugar, or I'll always go to UU Bridge every Sunday. Rev Lauren likes this one, but the nature of this kind of resolution is a problem. The problem with New Year's resolutions is often not with the superficial commitments themselves, but what they're connected to. On a deep level, resolutions are often connected to a sense of shame or self-doubt or even self-loathing. So while the superficial action, eat more salads, might be healthy, the inner thoughts that are fueling the commitment will ultimately burn out. These aren't the kinds of things that connect deeply to that blessed fire that burns deeply in the soul. In fact, they kind of run counter to our inner worthiness. This is why it can be so empowering when people finally give up the practice of New Year's resolutions, because often that means that we are choosing our own self-worth. Giving up on inner shame can be an incredible act of self-love. However, this doesn't mean that ritual intention setting or harnessing the New Year's energy to motivate us toward transformation is a bad thing. This can be powerful. But like good UUs, it's okay for us to create new traditions that help us harness the New Year's transformational potential in ways that are loving and life-giving. Excuse me. Ultimately, we are motivated to stick to changes and lean into transformation when it is anchored in beauty, in appreciation, in respect, or even celebration for that which we love. Instead of making narrow commitments to single actions motivated by shame, what if we chose to open the doorways of our hearts to invite in more of what we need, more of what sustains us, more of what we believe will help nurture our spirits for the journey in the year ahead? What if we chose to bind ourselves to beauty? What if we chose to take care of what we love? Connecting with our soul's deepest longings, this kind of internal motivation is hard to tamp down or extinguish. Many of us have just given gifts over the winter holidays. Gift giving can be a way to symbolize our love, show that we know one another, express abundance, and experience reciprocity. When we offer gifts to life, life gives back to us. In a few moments, you'll be invited to make a wish, possibly in the form of setting an intention or offering a prayer, and light a candle to symbolize this wish. Our inner longings are holy, and they may not be what we think they are, or would assume them to be on the surface. So look deeply into your hearts this morning. What doorways do you truly want to open in this new year? What is worthy of summoning? Usually our deeper layers long for that which sustains us. Often our soul's deepest yearnings are for healthy relationships with self and others. We long to be connected deeply to that which brings us a sense of the sacred. We long to be closer to real beauty, which shines outward from a place of inner love. So often at New Year's, modern culture drives us to counter our badness, as if beauty can only be created by minimizing our flaws. And while restriction may not always be unwarranted, my question for us this morning is, why don't we choose to summon what our souls truly want? True desire often arises from gratitude and appreciation, which leads us to love and devotion. When we express our gratitude to the earth for all that she gives us, we are more likely to protect her. Without the earth, we would have nothing. We would be nothing. We would not exist. The best way to bring something into our lives is to thank it. Whether it's thanking a child for unloading the dishwasher, which she's much more likely to do again if we praise her for it, or whether it's turning to our own bodies and thanking them for carrying us through life. Let's open our doors to gratitude this morning for things large and small. All life is relational, and all relationships thrive when we honor the value of reciprocity. So let's open our doorways this morning, friends. Approach this new year with gratitude, with generosity, with kindness, and with love. What is your heart grateful for? What goodness would you like to summon for your own life, for the life of your beloved community, or for the world?